Bright and early to finish things off in what's been a long series of white ball cricket. 5 T20 internationals and now the third of 3 one-day internationals, finishing off on the mount at Mount Manganui. Yes, this is where we are, New Zealand versus India, with New Zealand 2 up in the series and, well, plenty to play for, at least in terms of pride for Team India. New Zealand will want to look for a rare whitewash against the powerful Indian team. My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. To preview it all, we've got in the studio Zaheer Khan and Harsha Bhogle. Good morning and welcome, gentlemen.
Very good morning indeed. These matches start early. I guess they could have started earlier, but they're starting early. It's an unfamiliar situation for India. Being 2-0 down in a one-day series, India have had a magnificent run. Even in series they've lost, it's been 2-1, they've lost a decider maybe. So unusual situation, and interesting that they've said, right, we're 2-0 down, we'll go in with almost the same side, not go around giving everybody an opportunity, as Virat had suggested in the post-match after the second one-day international. So interesting to see.
We'll talk about the team in a minute, but just start with the first result. That is, of course, a confirmation of the toss. India have lost the toss, but they've got to do what Virat Kohli said they wanted to do all along, which is set themselves a challenge of setting a total and batting first. So I guess, you know, that's what they want to do. What else could they achieve from this game? Bat first.
Well, I think Virat made a point at the toss, which was having two debutants as openers. You know, so that is something has played a huge role, I think, in this series. You know, India is so used to having that start, which really lays the platform for the middle order to come and capitalize on that, which has not happened. I think that has a huge impact on the game. It just in terms of thought process of the bowlers, you know, they go defensive, and in this format, you've seen that teams go defensive very early if you've not lost those wickets. So I think, you know, that is something which the team management has made the conscious effort that here's the opportunity. You know, when you have likes of Shikhar and Rohit coming back, you know, they will obviously fill that spot with experience. But at the moment, let's just make use of this opportunity and get these two relatively inexperienced guys that game time, that exposure, that opportunity for them to shoulder the responsibility and give the start which India has been looking for.
Yes, we are of course referring to India's test opening pair of Prithvi Shaw and Mayank Agarwal. There is of course test cricket coming up straight after this one-day series, so it'll be a nice tune-up for them in different coloured jerseys. And the only change, Kedar Jadhav given a rest and Manish Pandey comes in.
You know, you've got to ask yourself, given the stage Kedar Jadhav is in, what his future is. Because if he's going to be in and out of the side in his mid-30s, then maybe the writing is on the wall. I think because he's so often had to play these 20-25 ball innings, you see the top three playing so well for India over the years, Rohit, Shikhar and Virat, has created a lot of issues down the order. Some might say pleasant issues because the top three are batting well. But what happens if you're number 6? Now, if you're a Kedar Jadhav, most times you're getting 15-20 balls to play. And so maybe you become a 15-20 ball batsman. I think they would have been disappointed in the last game that he had time and therefore didn't play that long innings. But if they believe that Kedar Jadhav is only that kind of batsman, then he's better off playing T20 cricket, because he'll get only those many deliveries. So I think there's a little question mark now if they're going, because it's not the first time that he's been left out and then come back in. I think there might be a little question mark over Kedar Jadhav playing the long innings.
Also, the other role that he continued to play was, even if it was a few overs,
correct,
those overs were useful overs.
Not
because
bowling.
He could break partnerships. It was an unknown quantity.
Absolutely, and we've not seen him do that. You know, so that is something which has not really gone well for him in terms of cementing his place in the side. So he has been in and out, and he's not been getting, I would say, a long run or a fair chance of having a go at it. Because if you ask him, he will be saying, hang on, I've just got one innings which I played really well, 15 deliveries I faced, I scored about 30 runs, it was in good scenario. Just one innings I've not been able to deliver, and I'm just limited with my chances. So, you know, he must be feeling hard done.
Yeah,
it's just about how team management is looking at future. I think, you know, here is the call which they have to make in terms of how they're looking at the skeleton of your team, your playing 11. That is something which is going to be mainly should be answered by the team management. You made that call with KL Rahul. So you've seen now that KL Rahul is batting at say number 5 and keeping the wicket. So that call you made, stick with that call for long term if you decided to go in that direction, but then have clear-cut rules in terms of positions. I think if you approach the season with that mindset, things will start simplifying. Then you'll get the players to do a role rather than looking for individuals or looking for players who will come and show their skills and win you games of cricket. I think what they've been doing so far is they've been focusing on the individuals and not really the roles which are required for a playing 11 to play in terms of making that formula or that brand of cricket which we speak about. So I think that needs to be defined in a proper manner.
Interesting. When you talk
It is harder now. I'd love to see Kedar Jadhav's record when he's had 20 overs to bat and see how many opportunities he's had to bat with 20 overs left. Because he's become that kind of batsman, you look at him and say, when was the last time Kedar Jadhav scored a 50? But when was the last time Kedar Jadhav batted 50 balls? Because you're saying 50 at strike rate of 100, when did he last bat 50 balls? And it's incredible how often he comes in and makes, like he did in the last game, 25 of 15, 30 of 20. It's amazing how often he does that. So, but it's hard. Sometimes if you start your movie being the hero's brother, you get stuck playing hero's brother's roles, right? In the movies, you never get the hero's roles.
But sometimes, like in the Afghanistan game, the brother does come and rescue the...
Not once or twice. Kedar has done it. Jadhav has
Yes,
done
he
it
has.
many times. Not once or twice. Done it many times. Yes,
Interesting. So I'm just trying to draw a parallel before we move to the New Zealand lineup. Hero's brother, Kedar Jadhav, what role is Rishabh Pant then in the movie?
Rishabh Pant at the moment is the guy who got a great opening. Like so many of our movie stars, they get a big hit up front and then 3 or 4 movies flop like they always do. It happened with Amir Khan, it happened with everybody. And now you're trying to make a comeback with some better roles. So maybe that's where he is. Without stretching the parallel too much. But yeah.
But there you go, Rishabh. If you're listening, at some point in time, if this permeates through to you, then there's
Happened with Bachchan. Happened with Bachchan. You see, I mean, he started with all those Reshma or Sherazad Hindustani, but after Zanjeer, he went through quite a bit of while without a big hit. Happened with Rishi Kapoor, happened with a lot of players.
So that means he has to read the script and choose his
Correct.
script wisely
Absolutely.
and
Choose his
go
script.
with that.
Or maybe go from, I mean, you're talking about the big screen and the small screen. Maybe the big screen is test match cricket. Maybe the small screen is white ball cricket, and that's where he needs to try and reinvent himself, because he still finds a place generally in the test squad, perhaps behind Ridhiman Saha. We're not talking about that right now. It could be a discussion that will go on endlessly. Quick look at the New Zealand squad before we remind you of the My 11 Circle teams. Kane Williamson highlighted in yellow because he's making a comeback after being out for 4 games. So he comes in place of Tom Blundell and comes in as captain. And Mitchell Santner, who last minute had popped out for in the last game, now makes a comeback. So that looks a lot more balanced. Mark Chapman was the one who had come in there. So at least from New Zealand's point of view, solidity of Kane Williamson, the leadership of Williamson. I mean, not that Latham did a bad job.
I mean, it looks a far better side than the side that won. That won the last game. That bowling performance was just outstanding, that bowling performance. I mean, India are going to look back at that game and say we blew it there because it was such a weak bowling side and we allowed them to dominate. Again, losing wickets early. India don't seem to be very good at coming back if they've lost wickets early. So maybe that is the reason to have Manish Pandey in today saying, okay, let's have a batsman who's in form, who's played these kind of innings. So maybe that's the reason, but they'll look back at that second game and say we blew it.
Yep, certainly will. This time New Zealand have a full complement of bowlers, and this is the kind of time that you need to make your changes. If you've thought along the lines of Rishabh Pant, Kuldeep Yadav, make sure you pull them out. This is the time to do it. Manish Pandey is in, that's the change. Williamson is back, Santner is back. So note those after you've downloaded the app and make the right combination and get your 11 in with a captain and a vice-captain with a new captain in for New Zealand. We also give you our little bits of advice here, My 11 Circle expert advice from our experts. What's it going to be for today? It's a do-or-die game, India batting first. Is this a Virat Kohli kind of day?
Looks like it. I mean, he wouldn't want for this series to end in a 3-0. There is no doubt about it. He could have easily opted and said that, okay, we are 2-0 down. The series is over. Let me focus on the test matches. Let me have a break from this game, because he's also been playing pretty much regularly. So he has not really thought about that. He's very keen on going out there and making sure that they finish the series on a good note. By a win, it's going to set a platform for test matches as well. When you are on toes, every match matters. I think every match has that repercussion on the series. So he will be thinking like that, and I think with that thought process and with the record of Virat Kohli, you can safely say today he is up for the challenge, and he will definitely go out there and make it count.
Look, he hasn't had 100 by his standards. He's not converted scores into hundreds for a while now. I think he might have been struggling. He mentioned about the context, saying one-day cricket this year doesn't have much context, which is something all of us have been saying, but it's interesting a captain says that. So I think he'll be very hungry today to get that big score. So watch out for Kohli. But you play fantasy more than any one of us. Do you go with form? Do you say Ross Taylor in form, he'll get another big one? Or do you say, no, he's had too many runs in a row?
Law of averages, yeah. Law of averages plays a big role in something like this.
Does law of averages...
He has made his decision.
Law of averages.
Law of averages. Ross Taylor not performing.
Sorry, you don't have Ross Taylor.
No, I've got him as vice captain. I've got Kohli as captain.
Okay, so we'll all go with Kohli.
Yes.
It'd be interesting because, it's not a big game from that point of view. It's not a qualifying game. It's not a series winning game. But I think something is hurting in Kohli. I just get that impression that today he wants to come and get a big one. So, Kohli, the batsman, I think is testing himself today.
Yes. Look out. Harsha used the word hungry. Yes, even though it might be a sort of vegan diet, when it comes to bowlers, he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't ration himself there. Line them up, and he's going to have them for breakfast, or in case New Zealand, it'll be lunch, breakfast for us. But there's one man you cannot pick or should not pick in your My 11 Circle team, and that is Rohit Sharma, for the simple reason that he's not playing. But if you look at the shadow of Rohit Sharma looming over Team India, especially post the World Cup, you can see the impact that he's had. And we've decided to put some numbers together and see India at the 10th over after the World Cup. And Rohit Sharma, how often has he been there in the 10th over and beyond, and therefore what the results have been. And the results basically that we've shown, this is the results for Team India. And what we'll take it forward is to show where Rohit Sharma has been. And really what we're trying to pull out over here is that...
Don't lose wickets.
Rohit was dismissed in each of these games. If he was dismissed early, more often than not, India have
so we're looking for a leading indicator. Rohit gets out in the first 10 overs, what happens to India? And he's been a giant. By the way, everyone talks of Virat. I think in the last year or so, we started talking of Rohit Sharma in ODI cricket in the same breath. So look at the blue line, the blue lines in the earlier picture, wherever India lost wickets, 2 or 3 wickets. This is during the World Cup, 28 for 1. That was the only game against England. The last game never happened, right? For all Indian fans, that last game, that semi-final just never happened. India want to forget that as quickly as possible. But it's interesting that Rohit's style, and therefore India's style, has been conservative in the first 10 overs. Back your openers and your number 3 to bat deep and get you the big scores because you have wickets in hand. And I think that's the side effect of that is that 5 and 6 haven't developed as much because England's approach, for example, has been the opposite. You go hard right at the top, and so you have the Stokes and the Butlers winning you games from 5 and 6. But Rohit Sharma is a big factor. He's playing the best cricket of his life. 2019, as I remember saying in a blog, that he'll be holding on to that clock. 2019 was a great year for him.
Zaheer, in the 13 games that India have won since, and to follow up on these numbers after the World Cup, India have won 13. In 10 of those 13 occasions, Rohit Sharma has been present at the 10th over at the crease.
Well, I mean, there is no doubt about that. The kind of player he is, he's been a match winner. And the kind of stability which he brings really has an impact. And like I was talking earlier, those numbers were actually proving that fact. If you have, even if little slow start, score with 4 runs per over, 5 runs per over in that first 10 overs, if you've not lost wickets, that sets a huge platform for your next 20 overs or 30 overs. And that is something which India has been doing consistently well. And the reason has been Rohit Sharma, and you've seen that once he is in, his strike rate actually keeps on going up and up. So he makes up for that. and what it does in turn, that the bowling lineup is something which is always under pressure, and that really creates opportunities for other batsmen. If as a bowler you are coming into bowl and you're not thinking of wickets, half your job is done, and it makes it that much easier for any batsman to then go out there and capitalize on that. What we've seen from New Zealand bowlers also in that previous game is the lengths and that attacking approach which they have kept resulted in wickets. If wicket had not fallen, soon they had to go back to that defensive field, and then things would have been easier. You've seen it with little older ball. As they had to pull the field back, things got easier for batsmen, and that Rohit has been able to achieve it, sheer by his genius and his ability to score runs, but also he's been setting that huge platform for the middle order to come and really have happy days out there in the middle.
I just wonder whether Rohit cares too much about field restrictions. Sometimes you say, okay, there's just 2 outside, let me use the first 10 as much as possible, which was the Roy Bairstow model that England used. Just 2 fielders outside, let's go for it. But with Rohit, we're talking of probably the best 6-hitter in world cricket today, if not the best, among the top 3 or 4 best 6-hitters in the world today. So if he's not got too many runs in the first 10, it doesn't matter to him because he's hitting the ball over the boundary. You can have 20 fielders if you're hitting 6s, it doesn't matter. So maybe he backs himself so much to be able to clear the boundary and hit the big ones that he doesn't worry too much about going hard in the first 10. And so that's become a template for India. Slightly conservative in the first 10, keep wickets and score at the end.
And which is why, even in the past, I mean, I know it's almost became a standing joke that if Rohit Sharma was getting to 100 and he's done it of 150 balls, it means a double 100 is in the sight.
It's possible.
But there's a reason for that. It's a reason for that because that's his method.
Exactly. I think he has figured out how to approach the game. And in this format, once you are in and the kind of player Rohit Sharma is, he can actually hurt you both the sides of the wicket. Yeah. And then as a bowler, you don't have anywhere to go to. So that is something which he has understood very well. Also, with experience, he knows exactly how to put pressure on the bowlers, and that short ball which he hits, I think that really creates a lot of trouble. Be it fast bowler or spinners, those 6s which he hits over mid wicket to fast bowlers and to spinners, that really as a bowler gives you very minimal margin for errors. And that has been his strength. So once he's in as a bowler, you are down and out completely. Not really able to get through to him. With this white ball also, we've seen that there is not much of a help, and usually these ODI or white ball wickets are pretty much good for batting. So that is something which Rohit has been good with putting the pressure on bowlers. Also understanding his game. I think with experience, what he has done is that he's got very good understanding of his game.
These two play differently. Prithvi Shaw will play differently. He's just a different generation, different player. But Rohit took time to settle it. Don't forget, Rohit took time to settle it. As an opener, not really, but as a player, he did. Yeah.
Yes, we went through that phase of he's got all the potential, but when is it going to flower? And it's more than done that. But on the other side, in the opposition, we've got Ross Taylor, who's been in the form of his life, almost KL Rahul-like purple patch. It's good that we can use that as a parallel. The only question mark in this entire scenario was his ability to finish those couple of games, the third and fourth T20s. If you have a look at that T20 series for Ross Taylor and for New Zealand, really, you can't believe it's 5-0. It was 5-0. But in those 2 ODIs, 109 of 84 and a scratchy but invaluable 73 not out of 74 in the second. So even when he was not at his best, he was still digging in there.
The 109 was batting first. But the 73 was as valuable because it came, no, was it the other way around? 109 was in a chase, 73 was batting first. Yeah, he was scratchy at the start, but he finished fantastic. And I think it's coincided with the return of that slog sweep. The slog sweep where he became, I mean, when he was playing RCB, I've seen the crowd go, Taylor, Taylor. Then the 2011 World Cup, he played some fabulous innings. That slog sweep has come back. And earlier, it used to be about 65-70% of his runs. Ross Taylor through the offside was non-existent. Then Ross Taylor opened up through the offside, and I think he cut down on that onside. Now I think he's just playing some of the best cricket of his life.
Interesting. We always associate many players, the greats of all time, with a particular stroke. And it's strange that for someone who's apparently a very correct, straight batsman, that the slog sweep should define the return of his form, and it's true.
Absolutely, and I think in between he went through that phase where he was struggling with his eyesight.
Yeah, that's
I think,
true. Good point, yeah.
That was one phase where things were not really going well for him, and he made that call of staying away from all these franchise crickets. He hardly plays franchise crickets, if I'm not mistaken, and now I think he's comfortable. So he underwent that eye surgery, and then slowly got into it. He's looking like vintage Ross now, and what you'll be happy with is that anyone who is in form, you have to look at those number of not outs. So you're actually putting value to your wicket, and in those scores which you'll see in the last 8 innings or 7 innings, he's been not out on 3 occasions. So that is something which he will take a lot of pride in, and that also shows the kind of form he is in and kind of mindset he has been walking into bat with.
And when you talk about experience, you can't match that. Over 100 games in all formats when he walks out to play the first Test match against India, which will be his 100th.
And the first one to do it. I mean, in course of time, that will change. Once Virat Kohli plays his 100th T20 international, that will change straight away. But there's not a lot like that. If you see a lot of players who play a lot of T20, they're not always playing Test cricket. So maybe Williamson will get there in course of time when he gets 100 Tests. I don't see Joe Root getting there because they don't play him in T20 internationals. He's not in the T20 side anymore. So it's a fantastic achievement.
Certainly is. But another little achievement that we want from all of you. We've got a tremendous response for all the questions that we put to you, no matter if it's early in the morning or not. And Joy Bhattacharya likes to pull them out at any time of day. And this is what he's got for you today. Our Joy Factor question is, why is a Sri Lankan cricketer, now this one is not something you can just get off the bat, who averaged 99 in the only test he played in the early 2000s in the news recently? Well, I'm not sure in the news recently is almost redundant with Joy, because any question of his has some relevance. It's always in the news and is sometimes hidden. In this case, he's brought it out up front, in the news recently. So we're not giving any hints to anyone because we might have sort of scratched our way to figure it out.
In the news for what, though?
In the news for what? Right reasons or wrong reasons? Is that, should we say that? Okay, that's all. That's all. We're not going to say any more. Sri Lankan cricket.
I mean, I don't know the answer, by the way. I don't know if I'm leading people on. I'm just seeing it.
That's okay. It's good to lead people on once in a while. We've got so many hungry trivia buffs out there, and they just get it really off the bat. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. That's what you've got to get your answers in. Sri Lankan cricketer, average of 99, only test he played, in the news recently. Right? We've got our My 11 Circle expert couch to battle for here. This one, India asked to bat first in a do-or-die encounter. This is where you see, do-or-die in a sense that the series is over, but plenty to play for. So plenty of reason for India to put those runs on the board. Just sort of say do-or-die because we like to say it, don't we?
It's almost like, what do you call it, muscle memory. Last game,
Yeah.
it's a good do-or-die. Slowish track in Mount Maunganui when they play the T20s, slightly slowish track. So I'm going 276.
276? Conservative.
I'm going 290. Actually, I'm going a little high. I think the team, the batting unit must be looking at this game to really finish things off on a good note, and that's something which gets them to this level. I think Virat Kohli charged up, he's fired up. So hope that he plays the innings which we've been looking at, and if India gets the start, I think 290 is easily achievable.
290.
You're
How often is
330.
300? I'm going in excess. How often is 300 been scored? I've been guilty of going down, down, down every single time. Then we go up for a change. Yep, so 308.
Nothing. You wanted to say 330, and just because we said 270, 290, you brought it down. Go on, say 330. Come on.
He wants the expert couch to be here, so he calculated. Okay, so 290. Okay, 300.
I'm being reminded.
Then okay, 308. I'll have the
Yeah, a little bit. 308 means
You can go up to 318, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, 324 was the magic figure, so I'll add 1 to it. 309, just for fun.
Okay.
309, which means 324 is the outer limit. There you go. So and you were 270. 276. So 276 minus 15 is 261. So 261 to 324, that's a large span. Come on, Team India, get us that My 11 Circle expert couch in that mid-show. But that's everything to play for. We will still see where we are in the 15th over, the 15th and 35th over, when we bring you our little snippet on Cricbuzz Combox, and everything more to come maybe a little less early in the morning on My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.